All right, we are live. Mando! What's going on, everybody? Today we are doing the Mandalorian Roundtable for episode 1 of The Mandalorian. How you guys doing?
Great.
Pretty good.
Yeah. How you guys? What did you guys think of the episode so far?
Loved it.
I guess we can.
Absolutely loved it.
I know we got a lot of people here, so we can go. You guys want to do chaotic order, or do you guys want me to pick? Go down the rows.
You pick,
what,
man.
What are you feeling?
Yeah, it's your ride.
All right. We'll do a little bit chaotic. We'll everybody just be mindful when somebody else is talking. Don't interrupt. But what did you guys think?
I thought it was a really solid opening for the season, reintroducing us back to everyone after what like 2 years. I think season 2 came out.
Like 6. It was 2, but it felt like 6.
Yeah, so it was a really nice reintroduction to new old characters as well as new characters, like our pirate king. He's pretty cool looking.
Are you talking about old Greg? I'm old Greg.
Damn.
But in comparison to like the other seasons, I felt like the ending wasn't it didn't have that like punch that the other ones did. Like season 1 had obviously the introduction of a baby Yoda, and that threw the internet into a frenzy
spiral.
Yeah. And then the end of episode 1 of season 2, we got the introduction that Boba Fett was still alive. So I guess I was just kind of hoping for that kind of like big punch at the end of this episode, but we didn't have it. But I'm not upset with that. I still really love this episode.
I think it was like it gave a good like fresh start.
Yeah,
like, it's kind of like we had a lot of the same in season 1 and season 2, a lot of same characters, a lot of same places, and now it's kind of like now people are progressing and things are changing, and
for sure.
I liked how they mentioned Dune, how Cara Dune like a nice little subtle way, like she moved on, and then Grief, he's like, I don't even remember what he kept saying, but he's like, it's like Legion Grief, something like his
High Magistrate.
High Magistrate.
I think I've gone Magistrate High.
High Magistrate.
Yeah, and so they showed him off and everything, and that whole town's all new and everything, and then obviously just showing the Mandalorians or the Death Watch or the Watch, whoever they may be, they have like their whole little setup now. Like I thought that was totally like a flashback of before everything went bad or something. So I was like, they got their whole setup. So I think it started off really like starting like a new season. I like that.
Yeah, I heard a lot of people. No, go for it.
Oh, I was gonna say, Mike, when that kid grows up, he could be you. So I hope you're lined up for if that kid has anything past that episode, it's you.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people thought that was Din. Like they were thinking that.
I thought it was a flashback of him.
Yeah. Well, dude, I was so surprised because that shot that we got of like all the Mandos in the trailer. I was like, they'll probably show that like a little bit further on down like the timeline or something like that. But like they gave it to us right off the bat, and I was like, oh man, it's so cool. I was like trying to pick out all the different helmets and armor and stuff like that. I know we were joking about that that brown leather helmet.
Leather helmet, that's the one.
Not enough Beskar for that one.
No, he was just like, you know what? I don't like Beskar. He's like, I want mine to be like old fashioned, old timey. Like, so he just like super glued some E6000 some leather over it. But yeah, one thing I thought was cool. I don't know if you guys you probably did because you guys catch more stuff than I do. But the creature at the beginning was originally supposed to be like a turtle, and because in the concept art it looks like a snapping turtle. I didn't catch that the first time around. Honestly, I mean it's kind of like a hybrid, right? Because he kind of has like the back that's kind of like turtle-like, but I'm kind of glad. I think the alligator's a little bit more menacing.
Definitely the roll when they all shot their
the gator roll.
And then they did, yes, dude, that was so awesome.
I thought that was just so overkill. Like, what is big enough that thing actually needs a death roll? Like,
right.
Well, it was so funny because like Mandos are supposed to be like they're supposed to like have so many different gadgets, so like they can use anything in the book. I'm like, out of everything you guys have, there's like a 100-ton gator crocodile turtle thing and you grapple it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like,
my man, let's
You-
not.
Like you weigh maybe I'll give you in the armor, like maybe they weigh like 250 with the armor on or something
Yeah,
like
but
that.
that
Some
thing
of them.
snapped its neck, and they're all like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just like
everybody's going swimming.
I'm
Dude,
like
and that one dude, that one poor guy that just got eaten.
Oh,
right,
yeah.
right at the
Right off-
beginning.
right off the
Yeah.
bat. Yeah, right off
Yeah.
the bat.
Yeah.
Go
oh,
on.
yeah. Yeah, no, but it was definitely cool to see kind of like their ceremonies too of how they like kind of indoctrinate like the younger and also too seeing some of like because they had like younger what are they called, like initiates or what do they call
I
them?
think they actually called them
Foundlings, I think.
younglings.
Yeah.
Foundlings.
Or
Foundlings.
foundlings, yeah.
Yeah. So it was cool to kind of see like the younger kids too, because they all seem to have
Yeah.
I guess younger kids get met with the wider visors because maybe they're not used to like the thin, you know. Because I noticed some of the other younglings also had the wide visors.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
You start off like this, and then you move up to the standard T visor.
Oh
Does
yeah.
does that mean when you get your new helmet that you're not a Mandalorian anymore because you gotta take it off?
You had to take it off.
Well, you gotta go to a secret spot in the cave. You know,
Yeah.
nobody can see you.
Well, and also, I mean, we do still have to recognize that this is like its own like small faction. I mean, in like prior to the Kids of the Watch, that was not a thing. You just got the actual adult helmet when you turned 16, 17, and that was your helmet. Like you didn't have a kid's helmet.
The more you know, the more you. Well, what's going on, JT man? What'd you think of the episode?
I think the latest episode of Mando and the Bad Batch were pretty good drops.
Oh yeah, I
just
was
out
like
of the blue.
spoiled, man.
real.
Spoiled. 2 episodes
Oh.
in 1 week.
Oh, come on. You would not have even watched the episode if you didn't see my post.
Probably, honestly.
No, but there was a little bit of something for everyone, you know. There was that like spaghetti western shootout type thing with the pirates.
yes.
There was a space battle. There's a lot of little things like that, and I appreciated it. So
Oh yeah.
cool.
Speaking of that, I was thinking like, man, the production quality on this show
Yeah.
is crazy. When I rewatch, because I always rewatch them right before the podcast, and man, like even the outfits, like you get to see like I don't even know. I lost count of how many different alien species we saw. There's like different droids. There's like monkey lizards.
Yeah.
There's
I would say
different
the
kinds
Mon
of
Calamari,
robots.
Twi'lek,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
you see
like-
them all.
Yeah, I mean the droid count was off the chart, man. I mean, so many different, head units and stuff like that. But what about the ones behind Grief?
Yeah,
Just
kid.
holding his
Oh,
thing
yeah.
and like chopping down the skin.
I was like, that's
hated-
that's not Greek Karga. That's Apollo Creed. That's an Apollo
That's
Creed.
right.
Yeah,
right
literally.
there.
I don't know if you
I
guys have
think
ever
those are-
seen that show Disenchantment, written by the Simpsons creators.
Yeah.
But
I know what
King
it is.
Zog has 2 little characters that hold up his cake, and that immediately reminded me of
Oh
that.
man.
Yeah.
So I hated those 2 little droids because when you look at them, it almost looks like you can see the metal bar that goes between them, and they just look like wheels that go
Oh.
behind them. Which I hated, but also it gave that like remnant to like 1970s Star Wars, where it's like, okay, anything that we can get, we're gonna use. And I was like, real torn back and forth on if I liked it or absolutely hated it.
Yeah. Not to jump too far ahead, but like, what about Bo-Katan's droid that's like sitting on the platform?
Oh, it had the
how his
iron
chest-
cards.
Yes.
Yeah.
How his chest plate was reminiscent of the armor. That was freaking awesome.
Yeah, I love that.
No, the design for like literally everything, like the pirate ship, like that was sick. Like
Dude.
that dreadnought, like
Yeah.
gave me like
It-
that whole scene gave me Attack of the Clones vibes because it looks like the LA-ATs when they like kind of pull down, like the gunners kind of pull down, and then
Yeah.
them going through the asteroid fields. You know, it
That
reminds
ship
me.
actually completely reminded me of like the EU like huge dreadnought with the super laser from like
Oh, the
I think
Eclipse?
it's like the Jedi Academy timeline, is it? I think.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. It's been a
Yeah,
minute
because it
since
had
I've
the
seen
same
that.
sort of like fin
nose.
downwards in the front.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like even bigger. Like
Yeah, I
that-
like
that
the
would-
tiger stripes.
And
Yeah.
did
Yeah.
that?
But that's
did
what
that,
it reminded me of.
Did the captain or that main pilot, like the
Old Gray?
main pirate bad guy with the green face, did he remind you guys of like any other?
Oh
any
yeah,
other
definitely the
person
dude
from the
from.
universe?
Davy
Well,
Jones.
no, yeah, I would say Davy Jones for sure. Not really from.
He
He looks
Star
like the
Wars.
something from DC Comics.
Oh,
Yeah,
I was
Swamp
thinking-
Thing. Yeah,
It,
yeah.
I feel like he totally was like not a ripoff, but I feel like he got inspired by Brutes from Halo. That was the
Oh,
first
I
yeah.
heard
Yeah.
people
Brute
say
was
that
a
too.
freaking
Yeah.
Brute, which
Yeah,
I
and
think was sick.
his like co-commander or whatever was like a giant boar. He had like a giant boar's head and
Oh,
stuff
yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
Like,
I
you see it
think
for,
it
like,
was a
2 seconds.
Coltunian, but like just I don't know, maybe face tattoos or something.
right.
But you
yeah,
know,
no.
we've been screaming for different species and stuff, and like this one episode, I mean, it covered,
Got all of them.
yeah.
Well, and also not just new species, but also like as I said, Mon Calamari, Twi'lek, like OG species, which I
Yeah.
think have. In animation, we got them pretty frequently, but in live action, they've been kind of missing. But yeah, I think Mando just absolutely nailed it. I think it felt Star Wars in that way through and through, definitely.
And then you can tell they upgraded the volume too. I mean, like that. Before we really couldn't tell, but then you kind of, if you start paying attention to it, you can kind of realize some of the stuff. But this time, when they were walking through Navarra, man, it was like just blended so well.
I was just gonna say, having Grief as the new magistrate and leader,
High
you can
Yeah.
see.
Hi, man.
Yeah, don't forget High Magistrate.
Hi, Magistrate.
But you can see, like, as soon as they land, you can see the foliage and how lively it looks. It's
Yeah, we need
You
like a
barely
Galaxy's
Whole
Edge.
different feel.
recognize it. Yeah.
Galaxy's
like you would
Edge
think,
all
like,
that.
you watch that in season 3 and you'd be like, oh yeah, there was a big shootout here with a bunch of guys. And it was like grimy looking, and yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, so I said this in one of the other podcasts that I was on a couple days ago. Like, I come from a town called Frisco in Dallas that was like literally a bunch of like cornfields and like just like not developed at all. And like over the past like 10 to 15 years, it's like one of like the fastest growing cities in Dallas. And I was like, man, that is like the exact same way how I feel about Navarro. Like, it was like this little like hole in the wall, like muddy, gross looking like asteroid planet, and now it's like thriving, and it's like Greek Karga's like trying to sell like Mando like timeshares and stuff like that. He's like, oh, spared no expense. You can find over the lava flats and see the rivers flow for eternity. And I'm like, he's trying to
It
like
was like
upgrade.
so Star Tours esque. I feel like.
Yeah. Even like the droid, like the white one at the beginning, was like, "Come see the lava flats,"
Yeah.
like take the tours and all that.
That
stuff.
reminded me of what's his name, or what's her name from the Phantom Menace at the very beginning on the Trade Federation ship. Yeah.
Oh,
They-
TC-14.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're willing to see you now. And you get hands of the drinks. The very chrome cups.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, for sure.
No, I mean, it was, this episode really, like, I don't know. I haven't felt this giddy, honestly, since I started watching Tales of the Jedi, when we were seeing like Dooku's arc and stuff. And I was like, man, this just feels like, it made me like, and I know a lot of you said the same thing, like the 30 minutes was up like that.
Dude,
And
yeah.
after
that was
I
really
watched
We,
it,
good.
I
we
said-
wanted more. We
Yeah,
definitely
after
wanted
my
more.
watch party, I was like, wait, that was like 10 minutes. Like, it flew by so fast. Like, you were hooked the entire time.
Oh yeah,
So-
no, it was great.
I felt that totally because like I usually go to my apartment next to like where I work because I live so far away. But that day I was like, no, I'm gonna go home. I don't want to get spoiled. And so I drove like 2.5 hours to get home, and then I like put it on, and I'm like, dang, that was quick. Go to bed now. I was like,
My wife is not a Star Wars fan at all, and she's like, you're pretty interested in this, so I'm going to watch it with you. This episode alone she watched it and instantly went back and in 2 days binge watched season 1, season 2 of Mandalorian, and is now on episode
You hooked
4
her.
of Book of Boba
That's the way
understand
to
what's
do
going
it.
on. Like,
This is the way.
that's awesome.
yeah, that
This
should
is
say
the way.
something about the quality of this episode alone. Is it created all of that? Like, hey, I need to go back and watch all of this. So it's
That's
been great for
awesome.
me.
That is the start of a very, very deep rabbit hole sickness.
Yeah.
First steps into a
Beginning
life.
of
That's
Well,
dangerous.
That's when you know you got the right woman.
I am very lucky. That's all that I know. I'm very lucky. But so we talked about Navarro for a second. One thing that I realized in the episode that they kept referencing back to was the Marshal. Did you hear that? Like, they kept saying, oh, you should be the Marshal. You should be the Marshal. You should be the Marshal.
Yeah.
And the only thing that went through my head was at the end of Book of Boba when they have
Cobb
Yep.
Vanth.
Cobb
Robo-Cobb.
Vanth in the chamber. Like,
I didn't think about
I'm
that.
really hoping that we end up with a Cobb Vanth on Navarro.
Yeah.
That
I
was
think
awesome.
he's dedicated to Tatooine, but we could definitely get somebody
Yeah.
like Cobb to run that that whole Navarro, syndicate.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I feel like Cobb is tied too much to I guess now it's called Freetown. So I feel like it's gonna take a lot to get him to leave.
Yeah.
Well, it's Strike and I were talking on his stream, like when the pirates were like, "We want to drink here. I don't care if it's a school, right?"
There's no alcohol in there. man.
And Strike was like, "Are you really gonna say no to a Mando?" And I was like, "Oh, I guess he
Yeah.
is the new police officer of the
Yeah.
town.
Well,
Are these guys bothering you?" He's kind
Well,
of
exactly.
Yeah.
Like Mando is like, is there a problem
Yeah, is
here,
there a
High
problem?
Magistrate? Like, if a Mandalorian fucking asks if something is like, if it's okay, you walk away. You walk away.
Like, my boy here, he's chill, but he's also my bodyguard, so don't don't
just-
piss him off.
Don't drink at the school.
Yeah, it's great. They had so many different callbacks. Like when he was kind of like doing that like lean, that cowboy lean, like that
Yeah.
was very
Yeah.
like Clint
Very
Eastwood.
Boba.
Well, it was very spaghetti western too. Even the way that whole scene played out too.
Oh yeah,
like
in
the quick draw. Yeah.
they when they met, they did like from Predator, they did like "You son of a bitch."
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the Terminator with the droid.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and he
Oh.
even says terminate.
Yeah.
Let's terminate. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man.
You know what that reminded me of? The Revenge of the Sith video game. When you cut the Magna Guards in half, they actually crawl and jump at you like that.
Scared the crap out of me. I was playing it like last week, and because we were talking on Barb's basement about it, and I was like, man, I really want to play Revenge of the Sith now. So I went and played it like later that night, and then like they like you slice it, then you like start like combating the other one, and it just like they like hop at you, like it's like super creepy.
Yeah.
Not fun.
Yeah, and being on the topic of Navarro still, we still haven't mentioned whatever Babu's is, dude. Yeah, like,
This
is-
that
oh, the
was so
Intelli.
awesome. They're like little house and stuff. Dude.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
He's just all crouched down in there.
Dude, you guys sitting in there, and Grogu's like,
Yeah, I
playing
can
with him.
understand.
No, that
I mean,
scene is so funny. He's like, they said they can't fix it. It's gonna be hard to find a part. Like, just like going back.
He's like
And I was
crouching
like,
down.
bruh, dude. Like,
yeah.
come on.
I was wanting Grogu to go ham and have like a Kingsman church scene moment where he's just like beating up the little Babu.
I
Dude,
remember
he-
in the watch party, we were like, once he started hugging, like, kill him, Grogu, kill him.
Yeah,
I was
we
just- I
all
was just
cheered. We were
waiting-
like, break his back.
I was waiting for
Watch
him to
out,
hold
watch
him and
out,
just
watch
take a bite out of his head. He's like, like a chocolate Easter bunny, you know?
Yeah.
Oh my
Which-
god.
Which, to be fair, like I will be honest about that. Like going into it, I mean, I saw it from the trailer. I knew the species would be in it, and like in my mind, I don't know about you guys, I wasn't the biggest fan of the sequel trilogy, so I kind of went into it. Okay,
Okay.
I don't think I'm going to like the scene. I don't think I want to like the scene. But when the scene played out, honestly, I chuckled. And it was genuinely funny, and I was like, okay, fuck it, I can't dislike this. Okay, this is good.
No,
It was
honestly,
like Men in Black when they opened up the little safe or whatever, and he's like, "All hail Jay," and all the little guys are in there.
Well, it also was just like Indian or Turkish salesman. Like, no, it broken. Not your friend anymore.
I fixed that.
Bad baby, bad baby.
Do
Now,
we know if that
particular
was
scene where Mando tells Grogu to just leave Babu's counter species is different from in the Spanish dub because he says something that could be translated, "Oh yeah, don't worry, it wasn't his fault. He's little."
Oh, really?
that's
that's
funny.
Dang.
Yeah, and it's funny because you see this little guy just looking up at Grogu's like, "Oh yeah, he's little. He's bigger than me."
Not a pet. Put him down.
No, we were Strike and I were actually talking about that the other day about how like different things are transcribed through different languages and things like that. It's so funny when you start seeing like Star Wars in different languages, how stuff translates. Like sometimes it doesn't do the exact same. So that's funny that it. He's like, oh yeah, he's little. Don't worry about him.
Yeah.
Do we know if that was a Babu? Like,
I don't
No,
think
it's
so.
not.
I think it's just his race.
Yeah,
it would be
but-
cool though. I mean, maybe
They
that's
were
what
all
he is.
voiced by the same lady though. So
Yeah.
Listen, he took a page from Palpatine, cloned himself. you know, it's-
the best mechanic.
Heresy! Heresy!
No, but what did you guys think of Kavavala? We hear that a couple times in the Clone Wars, and the only reason why I know that is because of Avela's video.
Well, I know my girlfriend
Finished,
went
buddy.
nuts. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Because I watched her video on it, and I was like, "Oh wow, it is in the Clone Wars like 4 or 5 times." I
Yeah.
really like the architecture, that brutalist kind of like very stony architecture. Like, what did you guys think of that whole setup with her throne and just her kind of lounging and all that stuff?
Very
That's
Game of
awesome.
Thrones. I loved it.
Yeah, that was
I
good.
got
I was hoping
Vic-
to see like the inside kind of like lined with some of her troops, but then we sadly find out they all left her. But yeah, I'm hoping to later on see the like a bunch of Mandos fill out that space. I feel like that would be pretty cool.
Come on. Yeah, I feel like I got like big Darth Maul vibes with that whole like
Oh, yeah.
throne and
The way she
everything.
was sitting.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I feel like that's just, I don't know for sure. I think I explained my like theory of what it might be on a different pod earlier of how they'll probably be like enemies at first and then eventually, you know, they'll come together again. But I feel like it's totally setting her up to be like the main villain kind of.
I
Well,
hope
she straight
so.
up told him, you know,
We
you go swing that thing around, you lead them. So,
Yeah, well, she was rightfully pissed. I mean, at the end of Mando season 2, she's like, "Really?
Yeah.
You beat him in combat?"
I
Yeah.
tripped and fell. He fell. I picked it up, and
And I think this is like kind of like setting up sort of the kind of trouble that the Mandalorian culture just runs into. You know, you have things happen like, you know, everyone is just following the myth of like the one with the dark sabers leading everyone. Then you have the sect that's not taking their helmets off. It's like no one's fighting for the same thing, and it's I think a problem
Like a
they're going to
free-for-all.
deal with in this
If
show.
you wanna keep it in its own bracket, religious terms, you know, pretty set straight. The Mandalorian Creed, where it's like, oh, you can't remove your helmet. That's more like Roman Catholic, you know, strict. You gotta pray your rosaries. And then Bo-Katan's like, yeah, screw that. We wear jeans to church. Yeah, I'm not gonna wear Methodist. You
I
know.
honestly like. I really didn't like that scene. She seemed to me like a crying kid. You know, like, oh man, you know, my people left. You go do whatever you want to do. But it was like, in everything else, you're this badass warrior, right? Like, you're supposed to be leading your people, this, that, and the other. And if they left because she didn't win the Darksaber, wouldn't they all go looking for the person with the Darksaber? Like, I feel like he's not really hiding himself. The Darksaber's the Darksaber. She knew who had it.
Yeah.
You can
Well,
find him.
I think she's more salty than anything to even, you know,
Yeah.
she's kind of
Yeah.
just wallowing in her sorrows rather than doing something about it. That's why you see her, you know, sitting on the throne and everything.
Turning up her
think she's-
emo music.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think she's also just, I mean, as I said, like, I think getting tired of like, the problems that the Mandalorian culture brings with it. Like, she was around when, you know, like, her sister was ruling when it was, like, pacifistic. She was part of Death Watch. Then they finally sort of took over in their favors. Then this small guy comes along, just wins the
He heads
Darksaber.
their leader.
Suddenly a non-Mandalorian is on the throne, and she's like, what the hell? And, like, these idiots following him.
Yeah.
So I think she's just really tired of every time she's like at the top, something happens and everyone just abandons her. Yeah.
Kind of like Anakin's fall to the dark side. There's just a lot of little factors that just keep
Yeah.
adding on to the true outcome of that. Because, I mean, like you said, back in the Clone Wars, if you probably asked Bo-Katan about the mines of Mandalore, she probably still wouldn't have cared about removing her helmet, but she probably would have thought they were something of importance, you know, the mines. But now she talks to Mando. Yeah, that's hokey nonsense. Yeah, don't
Yeah.
even worry about it. It doesn't even do anything.
So I had a question for you guys, because maybe one of you guys, because I don't know, is there an in-canon explanation of why she was chill to accept the Darksaber in Rebels, but she's not chill to accept it now? Did they ever talk about that, like anywhere in canon?
I think they did in Boba Fett briefly. I think the armorer was kind of talking about it. Don't quote me, but I think she said something along the lines of like, no, now I'm blanking.
She didn't get it, so they didn't follow her or
Well,
something.
No,
like that?
I think Bo just back then thought it was because like, okay, she's forfeiting the saber to me, but I think now, she saw or maybe thinks that because of that Mandalore fell, and so now she wants to win it back the correct way. So her people can
superstition.
actually,
Oh,
Yeah.
So she's
That's
still
what
a
I
little
kind of
superstitious.
thought.
I do remember
Yeah.
them talking about that in Rebels. Yeah.
I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
It's
But-
I
definitely.
think it's that.
I'm curious to see how the other Mandalorians, because obviously she said, "Oh, they kicked me out," because I didn't have the Darksaber. So you can go lead them. So we know there's like more there. But I'm curious to see, because we've already had, the Watch, and then we've had the Owls, and they've been like more or less like they're different. I think they're kind of against each other. But now he's going to go meet a whole other group. And I think the only shot that we didn't see out of all that from the trailer was the one where he's walking through them. So I'm curious if he'll kind of team up with like if he'll go there and they're just going to try to kill him for it. Because like they're like, oh, well, I want the Darksaber. So maybe he's going to take a group back over there, and those other Mandos won't be too friendly, and it'll start this whole out war. Because he's setting up, like I said before, I'm hoping that he hands off Grogu to someone else for a little bit to have some sort of kind of
he's
time
going
to do
across
his
the
other
room.
thing. And
Yeah,
he's
he's like,
setting up IG-11. So
I just don't know if Mando came in with the Darksaber, there'd be like a free for all, like, oh, like we gotta kill him so we can have it. Like seeing the Clone Wars episodes and that the respect built around the Darksaber when Maul challenged Pre Vizsla, they weren't expecting that, because like, wait, you can do that? You can do that? Oh, dude, this is gonna go down. They were kind of off to the side, like not even gonna interfere.
I don't doubt that there's some sort of leadership there right now, though. So maybe that guy will be like, oh, so you're here? Okay, well, if you want a Mandalore back, then
Paz challenged him.
Yeah,
and Boba.
And Boba, yeah.
So
that's a blade that's been passed down many a time.
See, my thing is why don't they just have like I know I'm quoting Rocky a lot because Carl Weathers, but like why don't they just have a little match just like in at the end of Rocky 3 where Apollo and Rocky fight at the end, and Apollo like Bo-Katan and Din could just have a little exhibition or something like that and see
Doesn't
see
have
who
to
wins.
be to the death.
yeah, it could just be
I mean, that's always been my question, though, because obviously it's been different in Mando, but Mando wasn't around when the Darksaber was like really treated as the way it used to be. So like, do you have to kill the person that you fight to get it?
Moff Gideon didn't die.
But Mando wasn't. He didn't really know about it. So
Right.
Is that why Bo's not trying to kill him or trying to take it, because she'd have to kill him?
No, because I mean, as we said, like, I mean, Din won it from Moff Gideon without killing him. I think Maul just really wanted to kill Pre Vizsla. Yeah.
Well, if there was anything standing in between Revenge of Kenobi, I think he was willing to do anything.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's fair. No, but I thought one part I really liked about the whole encounter with Bo-Katan also was like the way she's sort of trying to make Mando realize what it really means to be a Mandalorian, because Mando obviously was raised by the Children of the Watch, and he's so caught up in like following the rules, being a good Mandalorian, which means not taking off the helmet, following the code. But I mean, he's done so much heroic things. He's helped his own people. He's got the Darksaber, and she's just kind of commenting on it, like also like, oh, you're a fool. Like what? Like literally, it's kind of like the meme with like it was a meme with like Boba and Din. And it was like, Din was saying, yeah, like, she told me I'm not a Mandalorian anymore. And, like, Boba just said, like, what? You have the Darksaber. Like, tell her she's not a Mandalorian anymore. Like,
chop her off the head.
I make the rules. Look at me. I am the captain.
I am wondering what does she does the entire day. I mean, does she sit in the throne all day?
Bro, she's
or-
deep chilling. She's got her like, you didn't see it, but she pulls out her like speakers in the background. She just like blares Linkin Park or something like that.
Listen to some emo just passed out.
Where's all her like homies at too?
I think she just said they left. Like everybody left her. Which like
really chilling.
Yeah, I was like, that's a big old castle to be chilling by yourself. But hey, I mean,
I got built all this, and nobody wants to hang out.
Vader did it. I mean,
true.
It's so funny too, like, because like I feel like Mandos are supposed to like this like super like when they do swear loyalty to something, like they swear loyalty to something, and I thought that was just interesting that she was just like, yeah, they all left, they went and did mercenary work. Like I didn't come back with a Darksaber, and they're just like, bye, like we're not here anymore.
They probably got tired of waiting. I mean,
I guess so.
Yeah, I feel like they were collecting like the ships and stuff, like the Gazanti freighter, all this time, but then for it to just end up not working out, they were just like, all right, we're leaving you.
Well, priorities on what they find more valuable than other things as well, because every Mandalorian can, create and make their own helmet and vow to not take it off or take it off, whatever they choose. But there's only one Darksaber, man.
True.
Yeah,
There's
true.
only one. So I think when that comes down to the line, they're going to respect the decision, whoever holds that, more than anything about taking off a helmet or.
Fair enough. One thing I was thinking about too, thinking about going back to Rebels, like I would like to figure out, like, even if it's just like a simple like sentence or comment, like what happened to all the Mandalorians that backed the Empire?
Oh, the
Like-
Super Commandos.
Like how are they viewed within like the race of like Mandalorian? Like one, where are they? Did they just
Probably
go
traitors across the board. I mean, you look.
Yeah.
I mean, they caused Mandalore to get glassed, right? So
Yeah,
or they supported it.
They might be
And
the
then-
ones on Mandalore right now. Who knows?
That's true.
maybe. Yeah, maybe like that's who they're
That's a good
fighting.
point.
Well, I mean,
Like
they're
in the
not
trailer?
being backed up by the Empire anymore, so I feel like any actual, decent Mandalorian, if they see one of those super commando bitches, like, they're gonna blast them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So now they have remnant Mandalorians then.
I guess so. Yeah, like Darth
Yeah.
Saxon. Like
Yeah.
he's
I
still
mean, people
technically
like
he's still
him.
alive. Or
Yeah.
maybe not. I don't know. Like
No,
he's pretty
he-
old.
I think he's pretty dead.
Yeah, no, I
He
think
got
he's dead
shot
too.
pretty
yeah.
damn good.
Did he get
Yeah.
shot?
Ursa
Yeah.
shot him.
Probably
Yeah,
not.
Sabine's mom shot him.
yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, because
Yeah,
Sabine
I
and
think
him
I can
fought,
watch those.
but then he was beaten, and then you tried to kill her dirty, and he got shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
definitely
Yeah.
dead.
I just.
But in
completely
between
forgot
then
about
and now, we've seen people survive lightsabers. So
We're not gonna talk
maybe
about
that.
Twice.
yeah, so
No, one girl's tough.
Qui-Gon laying there with one stab wound. Why?
Yeah.
Oh man. But yeah, no, I mean we could see I know somebody brought up they wanted to see Finn Rao in the like maybe come up somewhere in the
That'd be cool.
What do you guys want to see? Like who do you want to see pop up in this season? Because I know John had teased that there was going to be, it doesn't have to be to the level of Luke Skywalker, but John had teased that there's going to be somebody kind of like that, or like seeing more like familiar faces within the
Well,
didn't
let me
he say-
see who didn't stole 2 episodes of. Oh yeah, Boba. Okay, so we're getting 2 episodes.
So anyone related to Boba, yeah. But also I think they even said like this is gonna be like the cameos season or something, if I heard right.
Last
I don't
season
know.
wasn't. Wow.
Yeah, I was.
I don't.
Oh man,
how,
we're in for a treat.
Oh
I
damn.
don't know how possible it'd be, but my second guess, or I think a lot of people's second guess, and the second person I was hoping for, because I was hoping for Luke when everyone was speculating who's going to be in it, but especially with Survivor coming out, it'd be nice to see Cal.
Oh yeah.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
My only thing about that is I don't think they're going to cross anybody over, because then that
Cal-
ruins the stakes for the game.
Well, Cal would
As
be
much as I'd love to
old.
see him.
That's true.
Cal would be pretty
Oh,
old. This
I
is
mean-
post Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know.
I would
Some
really
people
like
can
to
be
see
old,
some
JK.
to- I'd like to see some lead into Ahsoka. So like Sabine Wren or Ahsoka, since that's one of the next shows that's coming out.
That'd be cool
And
to see
Sabine
Sabine.
and Ahsoka both have links to Mandalorians in some way, shape, or form with Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan's a major character. I'd like to see that as some type of lead into one of the next shows we're going to see.
I
mean,
think
we
something
are-
like that would be more realistic.
Was
We
anybody
have the
urging for?
hyperspace ways already.
Yeah, we already got
Yeah.
a tease for Ahsoka.
Yeah. Well, when the Purgle
Yeah.
were there, was anybody else looking for Thrawn? I mean, I was
Yeah.
just hoping to see him.
Buddy, I
Getting
wanted
dragged
Heir to the
behind.
Empire trilogy to be the sequels.
Yeah.
You just see
Same
like a little
boat.
human shape like on one of like the tentacles of the
Yeah.
whales. It's just, "Ah!"
Yeah.
I think the most likely we'd probably see Ahsoka, because in Mando season 2.5, her and Mando already met up, so like that's a perfect way to lead into Ahsoka.
I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that direction is more realistic, yeah.
For
I
sure.
think it's most realistic.
I'm actually more on the train that as like I think the level of cameos for setting up different shows in season 2 was definitely fine, and I liked it. I would not be upset if this just concentrates on the Mandalorians on their own, like with
That'd be kinda
little to no cameos. There are like 2 major, because for one, it just makes the universe so small, the galaxy. Like, so I would be totally fine if they're just completely concentrating on how the Mandos are gonna figure this out and like reunite.
Yeah, I think the
Maybe they're-
coolest thing to see though I think we mentioned it back when we were talking about like the Boba Fett episodes would be Luke and Ahsoka fighting together.
Yeah.
That would be so freaking awesome, dude. And I just want more Luke. So
I'd probably cry.
oh yeah, me too.
Well, hey, we're getting supposedly we're getting a Luke, Han, and Leia show. Not to
Dude,
divert
I
from Mando
freaking-
so much.
Oh,
What?
Yeah, that's the rumors. We're getting a Luke, Han, and Leia show. So
I got to do another Han cosplay.
well, it'll probably be him around the time of Return of the Jedi, maybe a little after. I imagine that's probably where it's going to be. So maybe not.
This
Well,
is
you
a
did a
different-
New Hope, didn't you? Or no, you did. Which one did
I
you?
did
do?
Solo.
Solo. That's right. Yeah. So yeah, you'll probably have to do another one.
That's okay.
Cut your
I
hair a little bit
personally would
more.
like to see like, Hondo and Aka in this series. I mean, I wasn't
Oh, yeah.
expecting it,
Let's
but we got the
go.
pirates already.
Hello, my friends.
Pirates already,
That would have been awesome if he would have been on that ship.
dude.
But hey,
Imagine
there's
Mando
three
having
more.
to steal something, but this something is also being stolen by Hondo, and this is how they met, and they end up doing whatever random nonsense it happens because there isn't a single episode that is normal when Hondo is on it.
Yeah.
In-
Well,
in-
we're gonna
in-
see more pirates because
Yeah.
he's like going through a canyon in one of the trailers, and the pirate
Oh,
like
yeah.
like
Yeah, it's the
gunner.
same
Oh
ship.
yes.
Yeah, the
Pirates
same
are also
ships.
coming back to Navarro, and they're getting beat up by some Mandos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also, I mean, I guess whose ship is that they're chasing in the trailer too? Because there's
Well,
a
it's a
different
Mandalorian
ship.
gauntlet,
Yeah, it's a gauntlet.
and I know
ship.
Din is not flying it, and I know it looked like
Right.
Kalevala, so we're probably going to
That-
see some
that
bow
could-
piloting.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, that could be something.
Speaking of Din flying, how satisfying was it to hear
Oh.
his little
Yeah.
Yeah.
when
time
when
he
the
kills
guys
one.
getting
Yes.
attacked
Real
by the
Batman
leader?
moment. I feel like he just hit him, disappear, hit him.
Yeah.
Disappear. It's like Batman,
It's
literally.
scary.
And see, I even felt that in Book of Boba Fett too. When I heard that audio cue and just see him flew in, like I was like, "Oh, dude, that's iconic!" Like you know who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The music
What-
in general in Bando, this first episode has been fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's not by Ludwig.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
that's
changed
right.
it because like usually he's been doing everything because I think he did Boba as well.
Yeah, I think they gave him an F note on Boba for his Boba. Yeah, I will not do it. It's so stupid.
Hey, I don't like it when they're like Boba Fett, but I do like the hey dun 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 dun
Yeah.
hey dude
Yeah, that
every
his
time.
main theme.
That
is
theme
good.
was so good.
Come
Every
on, you don't
time-
like the dum da dum dum dum.
I thought his theme in Mando season 2 was damn perfect. And
That one's cool,
What
though.
ain't broken, don't fix it. But that's just me.
Strike and I are very on par when it comes to Boba Fett, but the soundtrack is where we diverge.
Yeah, that's where we
I was belting that every episode.
Oh, yeah.
Like, my my roommates were getting so mad. Like wake up in the morning, I'd be in the shower and I'd just be like, "Did you hear? Hey, dun 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 dun."
Max just waking up like, hey.
Exactly.
I mean,
you know?
it would be nice to get like in Boba, Fennec is all like, "We need muscle," and then it plays the Mando theme. So imagine in this one, he says the same thing. You're, hey,
Yeah.
Well, like
like that'd
Strike
be
said,
cool.
we need 2 episodes. 2 episodes
Yeah.
of Boba Fett
Yeah.
where Mando
Gotta
says
make
like
it
one
up.
line, and then Boba.
How many episodes do we get this season? Is it
8.
8. Yeah,
Eight.
just 8.
Are they all that short?
No, next one's gonna be
Probably.
like an hour. I think they said.
Okay,
Like 52
That's what
minutes.
I've heard.
Oh.
Yeah.
So
please?
I've seen a
Um,
lot of people complaining about the time length, though, like how it being so short, like being, oh, it's only, was it 28 minutes long?
But
I
did
like
it
that.
feel short to you guys? Like I
felt
was.
short.
enjoying
I was
Well,
invested. I was
Yeah, and like
focused on the
it
time.
didn't feel short to me. But then after rewatching it's over just like that.
When it
So,
ended, I was like, "Oh, that was quicker." During, I was like, "This is great,"
Well,
and then
if-
it just
if we're
kind of ended
looking-
abruptly.
Yeah.
This is
If
also
we're
coming
looking at
from
the-
the season premiere of season 3, right? So no one's
Right.
gonna start this watching Mando at season 3 unless they're introduced by someone else, right? So you don't really need this big premiere
That's true.
That's true.
because you already know who Mandalorian is.
Yeah,
And
but
I-
we're
but I mean-
Star
But I
Wars
want
fans.
more.
We're greedy.
And you know you shouldn't. No, I mean, objectively speaking, I mean, it's, what is it, 38 minutes? I mean, it is 38, I think. And I mean, obviously, like, plus credits in that. But, like, I mean, it's like kind of average Mando-sized episode. But I mean, I will admit, I mean, I said it after my watch party, like that felt like 10 minutes. But I think
Yeah.
that speaks more for how good the episode was, less than
For
for it being
sure.
short.
Well, I felt like a
But
little
the-
kid
but
when
the-
watching it. I was like, oh, like I felt like the magic of Star Wars, like
Yeah.
flowing. I felt the Force.
The voices behind that statement though are like, it was so short. I'm like, buddy, back in the day, you'd be lucky if you got 3 minutes of the Tartakovsky Clone Wars.
Yeah. Well, hey, man, we just gotta be thankful because, like, as much as I love George, if George still owned it, we'd have like maybe one show, if that,
Sure.
and then like maybe like the sequel trilogy, his sequel trilogy.
He's like,
That's
it's
all we
all
would have.
mine. It's mine. It's
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah,
Somebody
I think
else.
there's definitely more possibilities with the next episode because they've taken like a different approach where I feel like every other show has been an hour of introduction, and now they're like, all right, here's your intro, and then now we can like move on and like really get into it. So
Yeah.
Well, the
I think
He's
that'll
getting
be
the
nice.
chip now, right? That's like the next. He's still trying to get the IG chip, right?
Either
Yeah.
that or Mandalore. I don't know.
The mines.
The people that attended to the premiere said they got to see
Lucky
the first
bastards.
2 episodes.
Yeah.
So from what I've heard online and stuff, it far surpasses the first episode. There's more.
Let's go.
There's more exploration.
Spill the tea, Nick.
Yeah, get the bag. Get the bag.
I've heard people say that they go into more like Mandalorian culture in it. There's
Let's
cooler
go.
aliens.
Let's go.
And the best one I heard someone say was
Darth Maul. No.
somehow he's returned.
Oh god.
Someone says that Katie Sackhoff really seals herself as a fan favorite character in episode 2.
Ooh.
Yo, let's
So-
go.
Hey, by the way, speaking
already
of
sealed.
Katie Sackhoff again, who else is like such a big fan of her correct hair? I know this is like such a nerd,
Oh, yeah,
stupid
looks
thing
so
to
much
be
better.
about, but like now it's literally like just 1-to-1 perfect.
Yeah, her hair
Yeah.
got fixed. It's more straight.
It's not a wig,
Straighter.
right? Like that's her.
No, it's
actual
just her hair. But that's what
Yeah.
I've been saying since season 2. Like because there she had a wig. Like her
Yeah.
actual hair looks
It
perfect.
works. It
Yeah.
works.
Yeah, she looks a lot better in this. I mean, she looks great all the time,
Yeah,
but
no.
like, in this one, she definitely looks more.
Oh well, she looks great.
Um,
No, I mean hands down. I honestly, in my opinion, still it's the best transition from animation to live action that I've ever
Yeah.
seen. Honestly.
and she nails it, dude. When she's talking to Din, she's like,
Yeah,
"Goodbye,
crazy.
Din Djarin." I was
Yeah.
like, I got like chills. I was like, "Oh,
Like she's like,
coming
okay,
for the
she's
heat,
fully
bro."
expecting him to never come back.
Yeah,
And I said this, in the recap of what we just watched during the watch party. I said this is so nostalgic seeing her because she's been in a room with Maul. She's been with these Rebels characters. So when you see her on screen live action, this has weight to it.
Yeah.
She's been in all this
does.
media and you're like, "Oh, dude, I can't believe this character was in a room with this character,"
yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
And it makes you
Yeah.
realize, if you're going by that mindset, it makes you realize how many characters actually interloop with each other. Like
yeah.
seeing Saw in Rogue One
Yeah.
playing Fallen Order. I'm like, wow, he meets Cal Kestis.
Right.
I'm not going to look at
Yeah.
Rogue One the same.
yeah.
Well, I think that's also what Mando has been like insanely good at and what I think a lot of us have been missing, sort of like binding the OT, the prequels, all of that together and interflowing it in one another.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Mando's I think perfected like fan service. It's not over the top,
Yeah.
but it's like done.
It's
so
just
well.
sprinkled
That's
in.
what
It's
we
like
want.
it's like just right. It's like not too much, not too. I completely agree.
Yeah.
Well, this first episode in particular, had a little something for everyone. Like I said,
Yeah.
it was very well
I
done.
will-
Shootout,
will say-
space battle.
I will say one thing, one negative thing. That's the only thing.
Oh, here we go.
Those
Oh,
monkey
God.
lizards did not slap, bro. I don't know who was in charge of making those.
I think
They
were
looked
CGI.
wonk. Yeah, they looked wonk. Whoever was in charge of those models, the character models, bro, you need to go back and look because like you even like you have Salacious Scrum and the like doesn't look anything like
Well,
him. I
they-
get they're all different animals. Like
Well, but they
animals are
made like
different,
physical puppets. I think season 1 was it when you see them in a
Yeah,
cage and
in
one's
the
being
cage and
grilled.
stuff.
but-
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
It's like they're
gosh.
The
kind
one
of
was crying.
they looked like they were on like meth or something like that. They're all bloated
They
and
might
pale
be
and
a,
stuff like that.
They
Like,
might be like a subspecies, like a little
Maybe.
different. 'Cause I know there's like
Cocaine monkey lizard.
Like,
When-
Yeah,
when
did you guys
tree
see
monkey
the,
lizards.
the bird thing? Like right before the Mon Calamari enters the scene, there's a guy walks by and he has like a bat or something.
I thought it was a
on his shoulder.
Minoc. Yeah. Like,
Oh, is that what it was? Yeah.
I don't know. That's what it looked like.
Yeah,
to
no,
me, but-
I remember. Yeah, it looked
It
similar.
kind of
yeah.
flapped its wings and screamed and
It looked like a
It's like,
it looked like a small version of those like the big bats they were fighting at the end of season. I think it was like episode 7 in season 1, the one where Grief Karga
Oh.
gets his giant gash. It looked like a baby version of that one.
Yeah,
that
the,
might
the
be it
poison.
because
poison
Navarro.
is-
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
Navarro.
That'd be
Might
cool.
be. Well, I would not be holding on to that thing once it grows up. That's
they just pulled the cat thing. It declawed him. It declawed him. So it
it
didn't have-
declawed.
no poison.
But it get debeaked as well. The pterodactyls.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah. But guys, I think that's all I have. Unless you guys have anything else, so we're at about 45 minutes. I feel like that's a good first episode Mando talk. But yeah, if you guys have anything else before we end it, please share.
Oh.
Go for it, Rex.
I just have one thing to add. I personally think that they stepped up their game in terms of their prosthetics and alien creatures. You know, this guy Bane,
100%.
he looks so smooth when he talks. Like it doesn't look like a mask. It actually looks like part of his own face.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it, but yeah.
Dude, no, the
100%.
production quality on everything, like the pirates' outfits, like
Yes.
just the people walking around in the background, like you could tell, like this definitely has a higher budget than anything we've got so far. I think it trumps
Yeah.
all the other shows. Like you can just tell
Yeah.
the quality.
What Rex said, that pirate that like made it out of there because they gunned down all the other guys in front of the school.
This is Valen or something like that, or
Which
Valo.
they're not allowed to drink in
Bang.
the school, but dead people in front of the school, that's okay.
We set an example here on Navarro,
Yeah.
but like you said, I mean, there was no ounce of human that I saw in that. Like when you got close up to him, his eyes fused with the makeup and his cheeks and everything. It was spectacular. So
Heck yeah.
One thing I noticed was on the Clan Vizsla banner, the one with like it was like white with the little branch
Mhm.
on it at the beginning scene when they're kind of doing their ceremony. At the bottom of it, there's like a little 7 figure, which is like the same one on Boba Fett's chest plate. So I was wondering like what the connection was there, which is cool.
Hmm.
It's like part of Boba Fett's like what is his the Mariel sigil? I don't
Yeah,
know
that's
exactly.
a real symbol, yeah.
Yeah, there's also
I
that
didn't
same
even notice
like
that. I'll have to go back.
yeah, there's like
Hey,
that
is it the
same
same
like F.
7?
Yeah, it's like the same 7 on the bottom of the Vizsla
Interesting.
sigil.
Because I mean, Death Watch and Jaster's, like the Mandalorians were like also kind of like this, so that is interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
Hopefully we get more of that background, man. Hopefully,
Yeah.
like I said, Boba Fett can come into the fold. I know in one of the comics he becomes
Dude,
the
he
ruler
became
of
Mandalore.
Oh,
Let's
yeah,
get him
so-
back to the roots of Django.
Who
Yeah.
knows,
thought-
man?
I
Is it a
thought Boba
7
was
or is it a
confirmed
letter
this
from
season.
the Aurebesh alphabet?
I don't know. There
It's
was too
not
many.
I don't think it's Orbish. No.
Only
I just
thing-
remembered
but I'm
two
not sure.
things. Two references. One being Strike and I point out how awesome that shot was of that Mandalorian that flew up into the sky and the camera
yes.
was
Oh
on
my
it.
gosh,
That
yes.
was
Dude,
a comic book
that-
panel right
man.
there.
all the
Dude.
GoPro style shots. Like,
Yes.
The second
Dude.
thing was how like you didn't hear really you heard some communication, but the Mandalorians were just plainly flowing together in fighting style. Like you guys on the beach, and then they just automatically go up in the air.
To the
they're all
sky.
tag
To
team
the
together.
sky.
And when they blew up that big croc with the nade, it reminded me of Starship Troopers when they blow that
Yeah.
bug up from the
Oh,
inside
yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, and also like the brotherly feel between like one was like sort of knocked to his feet and one other Mando came from the side was like I got you
Yeah.
brother and like gets
Yeah.
him out of the danger zone.
Yeah, but
Love
even-
that.
Even the youngling, whenever he runs up and grabs the armor and like pulls her up and stuff. So I think we're gonna see more of that kid too.
You mean
Hope so.
after she tried to hit that thing with like a hammer?
Yeah. She pulled it right up.
Yeah, I mean,
What?
lady, what did you expect?
I
I was
like
kinda
how,
waiting for her to run and just slide the hammer underneath and cut him open, and then
That would have been sick.
I like how that big like croc alligator, whatever, was the least Star Wars looking thing in that whole. It was just like a big version of a normal.
It definitely reminded me of like Jurassic Park, that the new ones, that creature
Yeah.
that
Oh, the
comes up in
The
like
new
Oh,
mosasaur.
the
Yeah.
Mosasaur.
Mosasaur, yeah.
very, very much
It
It
looks
straight up
like
looked like a brown render of the mosasaur from Jurassic World. You know?
that. Yeah,
And they gave it
yeah.
legs.
Yeah,
I really like how the start of each of these seasons have started with like a big animal. Like the first one was that walrus thing.
And then the
Season-
Krayt Dragon.
Season 2 was the
Yeah.
Krayt Dragon.
Yeah.
Even Boba Fett started with that like weird 6-armed
Yeah.
monster looking
Yeah.
Sand.
thing.
Yeah.
So it's cool
Yeah.
to see each one of these start with like a new big creature.
Well,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
actually gonna that sparked something from the last podcast. This isn't my idea. Somebody else said it on the other podcast, but I'm just regurgitating what they said. That this theme of like constantly fighting like larger animals and stuff like that is gonna play into like later when he goes into the mines, because what Bo says is like, oh, there's a bunch of like hokey superstitions and like stuff in the mines, you know, that all it was Beskar and stuff like that. And what does Mandalore ride? He rides like the mythosaur.
I see a
Can you
parallel there.
imagine?
And in the
Also, when the
mythologies and stuff like
armor
that-
in Book of Boba says like, yeah, the mythosaur is all but a myth at this point.
so
Okay.
he could just literally be like a dragon hoarding all of the Beskar underneath the mines.
Like
of
Smaug.
Mandalore.
You guys, oh my gosh, you stole it out of my. I was just gonna say, in Lord of the Rings, why were they getting the mithril down there, and then all of a sudden the Balrog comes up?
Balrog.
There's always a beast in the shadows.
I don't give me
Damn
credit
it,
for that. I'm literally regurgitating what I heard on another podcast. But
No, it makes
I was like,
complete
oh, that's
sense.
I was like, that's an interesting, and it'd be cool to see a
Yeah.
mythosaur, you know. So I'm
And I
hyped
mean-
for that.
A few connections that just made me think of that's crazy because I'm making a bunch of connections now. But is if we do see Boba, we now know he has a Rancor that you can ride. So there's that. But also, when I first saw Boba, I was like, okay, maybe in next season he'll ride a mythosaur, because you get that short little scene of him riding the Rancor, Mando riding the Rancor. So I don't know, maybe Mando will
Well,
fight.
And
Right.
Boba
That'd
does
be
say,
great.
I
Boba
would
does
call
say in Book of
Mando.
Boba, he's like, I've ridden animals 10 times this size. So, it's in there. We know canonically you can do it.
Yeah,
And
so
I mean,
who knows?
Boba-
He did it-
Holiday
he did it
special.
in the holiday special,
The
exactly.
holiday special, yeah.
Let's
And I mean, Boba for
dude.
some reason
Ah,
now is
Boba
also
Fett.
skilled in melee combat with the gaffy stick, which oh yeah, you need that for a sword too.
Mm.
It all connects.
Oh, connects.
Now that I think of it, it even was mentioned on the first episode with this guy Quill. He said your ancestors rode the big mythosaur or something like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Well, I think it'd
Yeah.
be fitting too, because like he like it's like the full circle thing. He struggles to ride like a little like goblin creature, you know, at the very beginning, and then
Yeah.
towards the end he's like riding mythosaurs and stuff like
Did you
that.
just
like the
call it
piecing
a blur,
together.
blurg, a goblin creature?
Yeah, I couldn't think of
It's a
of
booger. It's a
Little
booger with
arms.
legs. Let's be
Come
honest.
on.
It's a booger with legs.
Blau.
But I like the piecing together that they're doing though, because Mando's like sniper rifle is the Ambon Phase pulse
Yes.
blaster.
Yeah.
That was the thing that shocked that big creature in the holiday special, and then you see him do the same thing to the Krayt Dragon, and then all of a sudden they're talking about these bigger creatures that he claims to have ridden. So I like the little piecing that they're doing there. It's pretty cool.
I hope if they show a mythosaur that they do it the right way, because I personally was kind of disappointed with the Krayt Dragon in season 2. So
Oh
Yeah,
really?
how
hope they do it
How it didn't look
something
like it looked
good.
like a worm-esque, then less like a dragon.
Like a dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A dragon
Yeah,
worm.
they have a lot of concepts to go off of for that. So,
Right. Yeah, the mythosaur actually
we'll
has
see.
not that much actually, but like a decent
No,
amount.
the Krayt Dragon had more, so I think the Mythosaur will stay more true to what
Yeah.
it looked like.
Before-
What is open-
Mando season 2, I mean, the Krayt Dragon, all we had was a skeleton, and then in the Republic comics, you see like a very, probably like 1/64th the size of a Krayt Dragon, and then in the new Lego Star Wars game, it's also the same size as that smaller like baby version, So
Yeah.
we didn't really
there
have
is a
total.
there is a mid-sized dragon in a game that was just closed. It was called Star Wars Commander, and you actually had to fight this dragon, and you saw that it was 4 legs, no wings, and still can destroy a lot of things. So I don't know if they actually just invented it from the game. It's not canon, but
Mm.
you still have this reference, which was at some point approved by Lucasfilm, of course.
Hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
excited to see what they come up with, man.
For
And
sure.
my last thing,
No,
if anyone knows, because I don't know if I'm just like, if I'm forgetting because it's been a while, but Grogu has a new pod. Like, did they make that in the last season? Did he make that, or
I
is that
don't
just
think
a
they
new-
showed
No.
that. That was like
Yeah, 'cause
made
I'm
off
just-
screen.
I was like in the trailer at least. I'm like, oh, I think he has like a Beskar pod.
You know what's
So
cool?
I
I noticed.
wouldn't think that
Oh,
he does, but no,
You
you
know
did.
It's cool that it's something I noticed about his little pod thing. It comes out of the same
Yeah.
place the droids do on the
Yeah,
end
right?
ones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
He's
that's
having it.
the astromech slot. Yeah, but no
Yeah,
one
it's the
expected
pod-
there to be a tunnel to the cockpit.
Secret tunnel.
I was wondering
Oh,
how
that
that
too.
is
That
one of
too.
the things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. You see in the previews or whatever that eventually he ends up with like an R5 droid in the ship
Yeah.
in the N1. So I'm interested to see what the transition is going to be of him going from having Grogu in the back to like how he's going to end up working that out.
Oh,
I mean, the
It's-
bandolier seems like a good safety belt, so I mean,
Yeah, he's just
I
like,
mean, exactly. Straight dad mode.
we'll make it
Yeah.
work.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that coincides with my myth of when he goes back to Tatooine and he talks to that lady from Boba.
Motto, yeah.
She has that droid, that red one.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
the
I
R5.
think,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
R5.
he'll give Grogu to her,
Yeah.
and then switch it out.
He's gonna be Grogu. This droid's got a bad motivator.
You'll
yeah, that'd
do.
be cool if like merged IG with the R5, like maybe like the
Oh,
technology of
whoa.
the
I
IG.
was thinking that
Yeah, let's
too,
get some
yeah.
Clone Wars R2
Oh
R5.
man.
Well, that's
Dude,
what
that'd be
they did to the right before
Missed it.
IG-11 died. The ferryman for that boat
Yes,
on the lava
yeah,
was an
stands up.
astromech head on a
Yeah.
big, like huge
Right.
boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagine that comes out of his cockpit.
Oh God, Lord.
Yeah, that would be a really.
Dun, dun, dun. All right, guys. Well, thank you all for coming on. This has been fun. I'm excited for next week's episode. Honestly, for both Bad Batch and because like they just set it up so great. Like I think we're gonna get spoiled again next week. So I'm excited to see what all you guys have to say next week. And again, thank you guys for coming on. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, may the force be with you.